Hey everyone, welcome back. I know in my last Cherokee video I mentioned that I'd be releasing some driving videos. What you saw at the beginning of this video was almost everything that I was able to shoot. I've been having a ton of fun driving this thing around, but I decided that I'm just going to tear the thing apart and start making a bunch of changes. Obviously, I've already torn it apart. It is just pieces right now. I've already made a few changes that really helped out driving this thing around. So the first thing I did right off the bat was I swapped out the suspension for some RC4 drive 90mm shocks. The ones that were on there were some old Traxxas aluminum body ones. I had put some spacers inside the shock bodies to limit the length of the shock. Unfortunately, it had some heavyweight oil in there and the springs were really stiff as well in the old shocks, and so there was almost no suspension travel whatsoever. So I pulled those off and put on the RC4 drive shocks, and it helped an incredible amount. It flexed, there was suspension travel, it drove so much better. One of the other things I did right away was I increased the width of the axles. I decided to increase the width overall by 3/4 of an inch. That's 3/8 of an inch per side. And I did this to give it more of kind of the full width axle look. I wanted it to look like it was driving kind of on 1-ton axles and everything. Which brings me to the next change I did almost immediately. I swapped out the old SCX10 axles and I put in the newer SCX10 II axles. They are just leaps and bounds better than the old one. It's a smaller profile, the mounting options are way better, it looks a lot better, and so those really helped out in the scale looks department. One of the other things that I decided to do was to lengthen the wheelbase. It was sitting at like 12.3 inches, I think, and so it was a pretty short wheelbase. The problem was that because of the Exo cage, it really limited how much I could lengthen the wheelbase. I noticed almost immediately when I was turning on full stuff, like the tire fully stuffed into the fender, that the tire was catching on one of the tubes of the front bumper. We just could not have that. So after a lot of deliberation and going back and forth, I decided that I was going to cut the front bumper of the tube chassis. I was going to cut out the body and the tubing. What it allowed me to do was stretch the wheelbase by 3/4 of an inch total. And so now we're sitting at, I think, about a 13-inch wheelbase. And in my opinion, it looks a lot better. It has kind of a more aggressive stance. It drives a lot better. To lengthen the wheelbase, I did have to create a whole new set of links. To do that, all I did was the old threaded rod method. All I did was buy some 832 threaded rod, cut it to the length I need. Then I filed the edges so they weren't sharp. I used a die to re-thread the ends just to make sure they were nice and clean. I then used a metal tap to tap the thread rods. It's really easy, super simple, nice, cheap way of doing it. Like I said, it doesn't look super clean right now, and it is temporary. I have not been able to find any 1/4-inch tubing to sleeve the threaded rod, unfortunately. I have looked everywhere, and everywhere seems to be out of stock. These are temporary. I do plan on redoing them, especially because some of these changes I've been talking about will involve new link mounts, and so the old links aren't going to work anyways. And hopefully once I'm finally done with everything, it's a much cleaner look. But I also had to change the Panhard mount. Originally there had been a piece of tubing that had been brazed on. With the angle of the shocks, they were now hitting, so I had to cut that off, and out of some angle aluminum I made a temporary Panhard mount. I do plan on changing that in the future to something a little bit more permanent. But for the time being, that's worked wonderfully. I also added some metal drive shafts to help in the durability. I also swapped out the tires. It used to have the Proline Super Swamper tires. I swapped them out for some RC4WD Interco tires. I love the look so much more. It feels like it's a much more aggressive tire, especially on the sidewall. Yeah, so like I said, quite a few changes already. Now, none of this has been a drastic change, and there are still some issues that need to be addressed. It's going to be a little bit of work and a lot of stuff I've never done before, but hopefully I can pull it off and really turn this truck into something that I have wanted for a long time. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was a little bit more enjoyable with the driving footage at the beginning. But yeah, I look forward to those next few videos. I do plan on making a few more of the SCX24. I hope you're enjoying those. I've decided to go with a bit more of a chill vibe with those, with the music and the editing and everything. I'm having a ton of fun driving that thing around. But it shouldn't be too long before I have an update with this Jeep. If you're not already subscribed, click that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. If you want to see what's coming down the pipeline. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.